This all started 3 months ago. Here's what happened. I'm about to do something a little bit out of character. So I saw a post online for a band that needed a fill-in drummer, but they're an extreme metal band. And I thought it would be an awesome opportunity to polish the metal chops that I do not have. I decided, what the heck? Let me contact these guys, see if they want me as their fill-in drummer in their band. So they're on their way here right now to practice for 4 shows. And this should be hilarious, but I thought, time to do something else, you know? Get out of my comfort zone and become a better player by challenging myself with things that I'm not used to. We're gonna see what happens. The band's material is pretty technical. If I had a few months to prepare, I might just listen to the album over and over and memorize the tracks. But I don't. I have 1 month, not just to be able to rehearse, but to be show ready. Now, whenever I have to cram like that, I always write out the structure of the songs. I give a name to each section, verse, chorus, etc. And I also count how many times each section repeats. Something about writing it out physically, visually, helps me memorize every song. Now, obviously, these are just for my own practice. I'm not taking them on stage with me. No music stands, not for a metal band. Come on. I want to show you something. It's hot out here. Which is fitting because this past month I felt like I've been in a human kitchen. You know, kneaded up and thrown in a bowl and chopped up. Hello, chipmunk. So on the top of this giant hill, there are all of these earthen mounds stretched out in a line. This vast metropolis of people that used to live here 1,000 years ago and beyond isn't here anymore. It makes me think about the impermanence of life and how there really is no excuse not to take risks, especially in the name of growth. Think about the past and think about time. Because that's what we do, right? We're delineators of time. All right, so I brought you guys out here for a couple reasons. One was to explain how important it is, for me anyway, to get a little bit of perspective outside of the practice room every once in a while. The second is to explain a concept I call the 3 Ps. Playing, practice, and performance. Now, playing is just that. You sit down the kit and you're having fun. You're playing stuff you already know, but you're not necessarily getting any better. Practice is when you're attempting things you don't know. It might take several attempts, you try, you make mistakes, but you're growing. Performance is when you're exhibiting those things, playing them for other people, or maybe on a recording. So you wouldn't necessarily practice something for a performance because you might screw up. And you don't want to play things while you're practicing because you're not growing. So even though it seems basic, understanding the difference between those 3 Ps is important. So, time is up. The time for practice is over, and it's almost time to perform. But before I do, let's head back to the studio. I want to show you my kit. I've put a little thought into what to use for this project. This is a Premier Advanced Power Kit from the 1990s. 10, 12, 16, 22. I cut down the 10 and 12 toms to make them a little more shallow. I also redid the bearing edges where I cut, as well as staggered the lug casings. They're paired with Pearl ISS mounts from my Masters Custom Gold for maximum resonance. The 16 and 22 are pretty much stock, although I've unwrapped and sanded the shells of the entire kit. These are 3-ply shells, black stained eucalyptus, mahogany, and then the outer cardboard looking deal is a compressed Italian fiberboard called Meranti. Now, I had a stupid amount of indecision with the snare drum selection, but I had to go with this 100-year-old brass Wurlitzer snare drum that was donated to me from a museum. It has a warm, crisp tone that just sits so well with the bassist's almost funk metal style. Let's talk cymbals. My hats are 14-inch Bosphorus golds. They're bright without being tinny, and that's exactly what I want here. My crash is a Supernatural's Divine Series 19. At Softer Dynamics, it's shimmering and beautiful, but it's a 19 and it gets pretty trashy if you lay into it. Here I have a little 10-inch Wuhan Splash. I found myself wanting this during rehearsals, and it helps with the overall spread of sonic range. My ride is an old Star Pattern Z Custom Mega Bell. It's a crazy story how it came into my life, but that's for another day. Suffice to say, it cuts through anything. All right, now we get to the right side of the kit where I wanted explosion capabilities. We have a 16-inch Meinl Classics Custom Dark China, which is really fast and raw, and a 21-inch Saluda Mist X Hybrid Crash. It's kind of A-custom sounding, or it would be if I hadn't drilled and cut a bunch of holes in it and added rivets. Now it's a little bit deeper in pitch, it flourishes faster, and it just eats up so much space in the mix, it's insane. Finally, off my floor tom, I have a stack, and it's a 16-inch Zildjian Rock Crash bottom paired with a 16-inch Sabian Ed Thigpen Signature Crystal Flat Ride. How's that for a name? Super unique sounding stack, and I really like the way it plays with the rest of my kit. All right, hardware. Is it wrong to be excited about hardware? Flanking my kick drum are the Gibraltar Stealth and side racks. The Stealth rack holds this boom arm I've attached a Gibraltar cymbal break to. The Pearl triple clamp holds my high and mid toms, and holding my snare is this Ultra Adjust basket. Easily the best snare basket I have ever owned. The side rack holds my stack, ride, and effect cymbals using another cymbal break, and I have these racks positioned so that the rubber feet just barely touch the bass drum, which not only helps hold it in place, but makes setup quick and consistent when time's a factor, like between bands on stage. This hi-hat stand I bought in the 90s, and it's been with me through it all. There's that Gibraltar name again. We have my double bass drum pedal, maybe the most important piece of gear for a metal drummer, no? My MDD is still going strong after 5+ years. I have 0 complaints. My drum throne is this bar stool. It has been for a long time now. I'm gonna link a couple videos in the description. If you're considering the pedals, I did an honest review video about them. You can check it out. Or if you're wondering why I use a bar stool and you think that's ridiculous, I made a video about that too. It's not about comfort. The goal is to be able to play, and when performance is all that matters, I need something that's not gonna wobble around. Every single post drum throne that has a central post moves. Bar stool. All right, time to pack this stuff up. I have load in for the first show in about 5 hours. Show 1, I felt out of my element, and I got caught up in the emotion of each song. I was gripping the sticks extra tight, which cuts my chops in half. Show 2 was way more polished, and I started to feel like I belonged there. Show 3. We need to talk about show 3. Definitely the most extreme weather conditions I've ever played in. The feels like temperature was 104. Just a willpower thing to ignore the heat, but by the end of the set I was losing consciousness and I had to roll the dice on whether or not I'd faint. I didn't faint and I lived, so bonus. The final gig, number 4. You know you're at a dive bar when the backstage is outside. And dive bar it was. What a gem. Place is spectacular. The audience had so much energy, and I was thinking as I was playing, I'm never gonna play with this band again. So any gas I had left in the can, I just dumped right into the flames. Thanks to Yotuma, the band, who I'll link below. Definitely check them out. Special group of people. I'm gonna miss playing the material, but I definitely grew as a player this past 3 months, especially my double bass chops. My legs are still sore. So the question is, who is in your area that you can play with that might be a little different genre than what you're used to? As long as you approach it positively, you'll grow as a player by diversifying your drumming. Now, what world music bands need a drummer? Country? EDM? Hip hop? All right, so that's it. I'm out of here.
It's been fun playing with you.
Am I released from my servitude?
Your soul is back to yours. We've returned.
You earned it. All right.